UARTs 8 through 1, and then we have SPI 3 through 1, so on the different sides of the board. In the very middle, we have our 5-volt pins and our ground pins. The reason that these are in the middle is because the connector is designed so that if you use a UART, you shift the rest of the UARTs down so that the person above you can take the first one again. And it turns out shifting from the middle is kind of hard because the arrangement, the vias go kind of in almost a butterfly pattern on the board. And they're really close to the connector in the middle, and that makes them harder to shift. So the power never gets shifted on its own, so that's why it's in the middle. So those are what we need to figure out. We also have boot and reset. We actually won't use boot because the Atmel doesn't use boot like an STM does. Let's see, what else do we have? We have a divided battery voltage so that this connects to an ADC so we can read what the battery is. We have an emergency 3.3 volts, and we have a 3.3 volts designated for logic level shifting, and the EEPROMs that are on all of the expansion boards. And then we have 3 bits for flight, or for height, which is how each of the mods or expansions gets like a different address for their EEPROM, as you can change the lower 3 bits, and so we have 3 bits of height. And there's circuitry on each expansion that basically increments it by 1. We have 2 I2C lines. Those definitely need to be connected because that's what the EEPROM gets read off with. We have 6 GPIO, and the first 2 are special. They're for the SWD ports. So those will be easy to pick out. And then we have 4 independent timer channels, so they should be separate timers that can run at different things. We have 2 sets of 4 timer capture compare channels. Those are kind of intended to be used for PWM, so we may pick a less performant timer to go along with that. And lastly, we have ADCs. Now, this is my first look at the SAMD21. I did a little bit of research in order to print this stuff off, but I really haven't gone through all of the actual pin allocation. Now, what the tricky thing, or the cool/tricky thing with the SAMD21 is that they don't have designated UARTs versus designated SPI. What they have is a peripheral called a SERCOM, serial communication, and those are peripherals that can either be UARTs or SPI or I2C. And so the trick is that we're going to have to pick, like this SERCOM is going to be the I2C, and then this one's going to be UARTs, and this one's going to be SPI. Now, we don't have to make them exclusive. We can double connect them here. And then hopefully the code will recognize when we're double using something. But when I do that double use, what I tend to do is I put, if I put SERCOM3 as UART1, I'm going to put SERCOM3 probably not actually as an SPI at all, because there's only 3 SPI versus, there's 6 SERCOMs total, so we can put all 6 SERCOMs in the UARTs if we ever got to a point where we wanted to use all of them. But basically, the first UARTs that I'm going to put here are the first ones that are going to be used, and so those are the ones that I'm not going to share with the SPI and the I2C. So the first 3 should be unused. Maybe the first 2 will be unused, and then we'll use 1 for I2C and 3 for SPI. And they'll also be listed under UARTs, but you'll have to be more careful. And in this case, we'll also want to list them in reverse. So if we do SPI 1, 2, 3, over here they're going to map to 3, 2, 1 to minimize the likelihood that you're colliding with this. And in fact, I'll put the I2C one absolutely last as UART 6, because we're almost for sure going to be using that reading EEPROM. Yeah, actually, maybe we don't want to connect that at all. Anyway, so the goal is to come up with which ones are going to be UARTs, which ones are going to be SPI also, and then which pins we'll use for ADC and that sort of thing. It's not going to be set in stone because the layout may cause us to want to change it a little bit. But by going through this, we'll figure out all the constraints. And the way that I do that, and I did this for the STM's 32s also. Theirs was a little bit easier because I was using a 100-pin package, so everything's not multiplexed as much as it is on a 100-pin package. But the SAMD21 I'm using the 64-pin package. And so what I have here, I don't know how well you can see all this, but what it is this is the kind of alternate function mapping for all of the pins. So there's 3 columns here. I'll turn it around again. I can do it upside down. So there's 3 columns here. These are the pin number for the given package. So we'll ignore the first 2 columns because we know we're going to do the 64-pin package. This is the port number, the power supply, the type. We have to look for this to know where the I2C capable lines are. Another feature of the GPIO pins is that they have EXTI capabilities, so they should all be on a different EXTI line, so that you can actually use them as interrupts. ADC, and then these are the different SIRCOMs that you can have on that pin. So basically what I do is I'll start with the pins that absolutely have to be something. So those are the USB lines, the power lines, and then we need to figure out like, oh, we'll take SIRCOM 1 from here and SIRCOM 5 from there. With the STM, it was pretty easy. Like one pin would be like GPIO or UART1, and so okay, I'll just take UART1 from there. And then later on, when you come to a pin where it's UART1 and UART5, you can say, oh, I already got UART1, so I don't need to take UART5 from that pin. Okay, so let's start with, oh, and then I also have a printout of the pinout, which is also pretty handy for just writing straight on here. So we have, these are power. Reset is important. So we basically won't touch any of the power reset things. Those will have decoupling capacitors that we'll look at later. So let's just start looking for the USB line. And I might actually need to take a look and see if there is somewhere else that it says what the USB line is. SIRCOM. The whole SIRCOM thing is not, on the pinout's not that helpful. Reference. Okay, so there's 2 things that I'm looking for here, and I don't actually see them listed. So the 2 things I'm looking for is I'm looking for the USB pins, and I'm also looking for the SWD lines, because those definitely need to go in a particular spot. So oh, here we go. So here we have DM and DP. So DM is your minus, differential minus, and differential plus. So these 2 pins, pins 23 and 24, we're just gonna always use them for USB. I guess we could multiplex it, but I'd rather just set them aside. 23 and 24. So I'm just gonna mark this here, PB10 and PB11. Although they're also named PA24 and PA. Huh. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong ones. I was looking at the wrong numbers. So I was looking at the 23 and 24 here, but that's for the wrong pinout. So I need to go 2 columns in, and it's 45 and 46. So USB is here, and I'm just gonna make a note of that there. And I'm also gonna note here that for these pins, this is the function that I'm gonna get. And oh, this is the page that I also need. So here we have SW clock and SWDIO. So that's the single wire debug interface. That's how you flash without a bootloader. So that's 57 and 58. So I'll mark that here. And those will actually get routed as GPIO. You can use them as GPIO, you just have to be a little bit careful. If you actually need to connect to the SWD, you have to make sure they're in that mode. Okay. So we started with that. And then let's take a look here. So this is where it gets to be trickier. So I'm going to start down at the bottom here, and I'm looking at pins 64 and 63. And they have access to timer 6, timer 7, and they're all Circom 5. So I'm just going to note it here, and then we can decide what we want to do with it later. So these 4 pins are Cir 5, and then these 2 are 1 and 2 are TC7, and these 2 are TC6. Okay, and basically I'm just gonna make notes like that the whole way through, and then we'll just be like, oh, Circom 5 is also available here. And in fact, Circom 5. So these latter 2 are 0 and 5, or 0 and 1 ports. But Circom 5 is also connected to 59 and 60. So these are also S5, 0, 1. And they're, TCC. Yeah, this is going to be a lot trickier than the other stuff that I... Circom 5. I'm just looking to see where Circom 5 is also broken out. So it's broken out here. It's broken out here. Circom 5 is broken out in a lot of places. And we don't need it at all those different places. So then it's a question of figuring out what is what. Yeah, it looks like Circom 5 actually exists probably in more places than other Circoms do. Because we definitely, ideally, we would break out all 6 Circoms. So let's try the other direction. So based on what I'm seeing, Circom 0 is only available in one spot. So Circom 0 is here. Oh, and it's right there too. Circom 0 is there. Circom 1 is also in two spots. There's a few here. And there's a few. Actually, I'm going to mark this as 1, 0, 4. 2, 0. This is so funny. 0 and 2. Everything exists in multiple spots. This is 4. 2. 1, 3. 1, 0. 3. 3. This is all 5. 1, 5. So it looks like 5 is definitely one of the more popular ones. This is where we could play around a little bit with the routing and see how the routing choices, about how these pin choices affect the routing to the connector. So now let's do maybe in a different, I'll use a Sharpie here. So I'm gonna do the same thing for timers, but I'm gonna do it in brown. So this is timer 7, this is timer 6. Then we have 0, timer 1, timer 1, 7 again. Timer 4, 5, 7, 6, 1, 0. Bad news about the Sharpie is it goes through the sheet. 2, 4. I keep having to do this for different chips. I might just write a program to do it for me. 0. Hi, Spook. 0, 3, I don't feel like I've seen 5 before. It's another 5. 4. 0, 1. Okay. There are 2 different types of timers, TC and TCC, and it's nice that they they don't have a TC0 and a TCC0. They just have a 0 and a TCC. So, first thing I guess what we're gonna do is we're gonna cross off the things that conflict with the things we already designated. So in this case, we can't get timer 1 here because we're using USB. We can't get 5. We can't get Circom 5, 2, and 3, and we can't get Circom 2 and 3 there either. TC 1, Circom 1. This is where we start making trade-offs. So Circom 1 is available here. 2 of them are available there. Actually, this might be the easiest to decide because this is either TC6, 7, and then Circom 5. So let's see where 7 is. 7 is here also. So we could do Circom 3 here and here. That would be nice. I'm even tempted to just do that. So here's 6 and 5 again, although it does conflict with TCC0, but I don't think we want to use TCC0. These are their outputs 4, 5, 6, 7, 4, 5. So we don't actually need all those. I think what I'll do is just break out 4 of them, of the TCC's zeros. So let's just start by saying, remember, we can always choose to do something else later. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to say this is not going to be 7, and this is not going to be 6. This is not going to be. I'm going to declare, so to speak, that this is Circom. Actually, I was going to split it, but maybe it's easier if I don't split it. I'm gonna reverse that decision. So I'm gonna say, okay, this is where we're getting timer 6. We're not gonna get Circom 5 from there. We're not gonna get it from here either. So we're gonna get 7 from here and 6 from there. So now let's just update our sheet. So we've decided 6 and 7 are not going to come from those pins. We're going to get 5 from those pins. So we'll just say Circom 5 is there. And we also decided that we were going to get 6 from 39 and 40. 39 and 40. We'll say TC6. And then we were going to get 7 from down here, which is 37 and 38. Nope, 49 and 50. God, I just got to cross this out. I keep looking at it. This is right, 39 and 40, and then 49 and 50. So these two are going to be TC7. Okay, so now that we've picked where 6 and 7 are coming from, we can cross the other spots to get it out. So 7 no longer needs to be there. We cross these two out. No 6 or 7 here. And if I can look through the writing, no 6 or 7 here either. Okay. So that leaves this, and we don't need 5 either, because we picked where circum 5 is going to be, so we can also cross those out. So we can cross this out here, and we can cross this out here, and this. Circum 5, circum 5. Okay. So now what we got was this pin here has circum 3 available. Or this one has circum 3. I guess it's conflicting with TC0. But I don't think we need to use that. Circum 2, 4 and 5. Okay. So what I'm kind of looking at is circum 4 versus TC4 and TC5. Right, so here's two pads that have the same exact, this says circum 2 and 3, and circum 2 and 3 is also here, along with timer 5. So those are on the same pins. And this one is also TCC0. Two and three. Four. Where else is circum 3? Circum 3 is here with 2 and 3. That's also here with the upper end of TCC0 and 4. But 4 is also here. No, 4 is here with circum 4 again. So this is the same, and here it doesn't share with anything. So I'm just going to say this is circum 4, or this is TC4. So 7 and 8 pins, not 7 and 8, 11 and 12, TC4. So now I can cross off all the TC4s. So now in these pins, if I ignore, well, I'm ignoring I2S. I don't have support for that. And I'm not going to use the upper end of the TCC0 either. I assume that any of them are fine. So I'm just going to call these circum 3. And those are pins 41 through 44. 41 through 44 is Circom 3. So now we've successfully broken out S5. They look the same. And S3. We've also broken out SWD, TC7, and TC6. And we also just did TC4. Right, we put TC4. Where did we decide to do it? I think I circled it and then I crossed it off. I think 7 and 8. Yeah, 11 and 12, that's what I did. And then, can't do that. Circom 2. But we did break out Circom 3, so we don't need it here anymore. Is there any other place that we had Circom 3? So it looks like Circom 0 is either here or right before it. And only the second one can do both, but it also has Circom 2 on it. So we've only got TC5. So I'm going to say TC5 is coming from here, which is 23 and 24. TC5, other list. And then serial 4 is going to come from here, which is 25 through 28. Working backwards. So we've got half our Circoms picked and pretty much half our timers. Which means we don't need 4 here. Oh, kitty, what are you doing? Then there's a cat on my desk. So at the upper end here we have, what was that? What did you do? So it looks like TCC1 actually has 4 channels, which is cool. She's tearing up the place. So let's call these TCC. Oh, we can't. Right, we can't use this for TCC1 nor Circom1 because we're using these as the SW clock and SWDIO. And I marked that. I think we're getting close to making trade-offs here. It's a shame because timer 1 and timer 0 are the best timers, I think. It'd be nice to break out all 4. Hey, what are you doing? What are you playing with? Don't eat that. Why would you do that? Cats. They like to get into trouble. Zero, 1, 0, 2, 3. So we need 8 pin for 2 timer groups. And Circom 0 is only available on those 2. Picked here, picked here. Two and three, 2 and 3. So I think if we just didn't use one Circom, we'd be okay. This is where it's like, do we want more timer channels or do we want more serial channels? Careful! Jeez. What are you doing? I think I might be okay with just getting 5 Circoms, 2 timer groups. Oh, look at that. So we did get, if we go back here to the chickadee connector, or the Polystack Mezzanine, we've broken out these timer channels, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we don't actually need 2 and 3. If they're all the same, if they're all equivalent, we don't really care about these 2. And in fact, we also we don't actually care about 2 channels from each of these. We only actually need 1. It's just tricky to split them apart. We need ADC and GPIO also. So we should look at that. Because we need Circom 5 is ADC. But none of those do. This one we're using. Oh, look at that. These 4 have no serial capability or timer capabilities, but they are ADC ins and they're external interrupts. So we should just designate those 4 as ADC. So there's 2 ADCs that come from the power connector and then 2 that go up. And if we could use all of them, then that would be ideal. So 5, 6, 9, 10. 5, 6, 9, 10. ADC and ADC. And typically I do GPIO last because everything, you can use everything as GPIO. These SWDs will be 2 GPIO and then we'll use 2 others. And in fact, we could use 3 and 4. 3 and 4 is GPIO. That would be fine. This is channels 2 and 3. And then SWD are 10 and 11. So these are interrupt channels. External interrupts. Okie dokie. So we don't actually need 2 and 3 because we've already got enough to fill up these. Because we've got TC 6, 4, 5, and 7. So 4, 5, 6, 7 we'll use as these 4. Let me just look. It's possible that the timers have different capabilities, even if they all have two channels. So let me just look. They have 2 categories of timers, a timer counter and a timer counter for control applications. So the TCCs are 1, 2, 0, 1, and 2 are all the TCCs. But it also says that the number of channels that 1 has is actually 2 rather than 4. So I think what I'll do is I'll take but they're different counter sizes. Waveform output. Low side and high side output. Might take 2 outputs from 1 and 2 outputs from 2 and put those as a group and then treat that as the second group. Okay. Waveform output. Circom. Okay, so I'm going to use 29 through 32 for Circom 2. 29 through 32, S2, S2. So I'm going to pick that. I'm going to cross these off. I'm going to cross these off. TCC 0. Zero, 1, 0, 1. So I picked 2, so I can cross 2 off here. And here. Now I can get all of TCC 0 from those 4 pins. Maybe that's what I'll do. These are all taken. 3, 3, USB 7. 59 and 60. 59 and 60 I have not used yet. So I'm going to call that TCC 1. So we don't need TCC 1 anymore because we got it from there. So let's just get Circom 0 from 13 through 16. S0. Can we get Circum 1? No, but we can. From 35 through 38. Okay, so we've gotten 5. And then we're going to get TCC 0, 17, 18, 19, 20. TCC 0. Sorting these ones. This one. 2 is from here. I mark it? 1 and 2? Nope. Making dinner plans. TCC2. So we pretty much used everything, which is great, except we haven't picked all of the GPIO yet, right? Oh, we have all 6 of our 13 through 16, S0. So it looks like there's 51 and 53 left, which are random GPIO. G clock, but I'm not using that. So we'll use these two. This one and this one. GPIO 15 and 8. Sweet. So if we go back and look, we've done 6 UARTs, we've done 6 SPI, we've got our 6 GPIO, we've actually got 1 full set of 4 and then 2 sets of 2. Sorry, I'm making dinner plans. Long form video. We got our ADCs. We got our reset. We don't need boot. And our I2C we've got too. What am I missing? I don't think I'm missing anything, because we got TC1 here, TC0 here, TC2 here, and then 4, 6, 7, and 5. See, we've got serial 4, 2, 1, 0, 5. That was only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Got all 6 of those. That's perfect. Now let's figure out, well, we can sketch out which circoms will map to which pins and stuff, but we do want to be aware that the routing may be easier if we do one choice over another. So let's just make sure, or let's run down. The only constraint that I know of is that only some of the circom pinouts can do I2C. So let's just go through the choices that we made and see if they can do I2C. That's going to be the biggest issue for us, I think. So S5 cannot do I2C. S4 can. Check. 2. Check. 1. Check. That's the 4, 2, 1. All of those can do I squared C. Let's keep it rolling. 0 cannot. The 0, we picked the wrong 0 spot. The other 0 spot could. But that's okay, we only need one of these, so we're fine. I'm just recording them all so that when we go to lay it out, we can figure it out. So 3 can also do I squared C. On 43. Okay. So amongst these 4, I'll pick the one that's basically closest. And then that will probably also be the one that is not an SPI. Yeah, so I guess I won't go any further than that until we actually do the layout. So I'm gonna stop this video. I'm gonna shift things around, switch computer to the computer, and we'll start sketching it out. Yeah, so stay tuned. My friend is coming in half an hour, so we have a little bit of time. Oh, and if you want more information, the website for Polystack is polystack.org, assuming I go with that name. And then if you're interested in buying Polystack parts, you can buy them direct from me, Chickadee Tech at chickadee.tech. The name comes from a native bird here in Seattle. Chickadee is a small bird with like white and black on its head. Anyway, thanks for watching.